we're going to talk about what it means to clean the front reception area and the lobby area. The one downfall of this video is that I'm not certain that everything I'm going to be discussing has been done recently. So if you see that what I'm saying and what the video shows are two different things, just understand that that would be why. But essentially what we want to do is go through and just make sure that everything is neat, orderly, and clean. And so kind of starting on one side of the office, we just make sure that kind of nothing is where it doesn't belong. A lot of times with different staff members in and out, we can accumulate a lot of different papers that are not needed or that are trash or that need to be shredded. And so we just want to always keep everything where it belongs. And so basically, one thing that's very important is that we are going to want to get the dust off everything. So we're going to want to pull everything out. And I'm not sure why we have a ruler up here, but we are going to want to basically wipe every single surface of this desk here as well as this countertop by making sure that we move everything out of the way and put everything back very neatly. One thing we want to be aware of, and I'm going to clean this up with the staff tomorrow, is we don't want sticky notes everywhere. They say that your workspace reflects your brain, and so if there's clutter everywhere, is not representative of organization. And so we also want to make sure that the drawers aren't just filled with miscellaneous garbage. This drawer hasn't been addressed in a really long time. And so once we get things up to date, it'll be important that we maintain it, or else this clinic kind of becomes like a like a hoarder's house. And so we just want to make sure everything is clean and where it belongs. Now, what's important when we vacuum is that you actually take the wand off and get all the way along the floor. And then also, I don't know if you can see it here, but the computer towers accumulate a tremendous amount of dust, which eventually affects their ability to work. So we need to vacuum, carefully, not to drop or make the tower tumble, but we want to carefully vacuum the computer base. And then we also, of course, want to take fingerprints carefully off of the monitor and the base of the monitor. And we just kind of work our way around. And so we, of course, empty the shredding and just kind of go through and put every little last thing back where it belongs. We want to give the phone a wipe down. Of course, it's important when you're working with any electronics not to spray a lot of liquid directly on electronics. And that's also important for areas where we have wood counters. We can't have any standing water on the wood counters, so just make sure to use a damp cloth and that the surface is dry. We want to basically make sure that at every station we have exactly what we need. A lot of times, as different staff members work together, people will walk off with different things and we'll end up with 3 things of tape at one station and 2 staplers, or all the scissors are in one location and we don't know, we don't have what we need everywhere. So kind of at every workstation we want to make sure that we have pens, paper clips, 1 set of scissors, a stapler that's fully loaded, as well as tape that's loaded, and as well as notes, paper to write notes on. And so, but basically every area needs to be straightened and organized. This is where another computer tower hides, so this would be an area that needs to be vacuumed out and wiped out. And what's important as well is that at this time we make sure that all of our forms are properly in order and that we have everything that we need. This is a great time to kind of do inventory and find out anything we might be missing, which on Tuesdays the whole team is supposed to be doing an inventory of any office supplies or medical supplies that they need in their area. And so we just basically do the same thing, wipe down every surface. It's important to even dust the windowsill, which can be quite gross from time to time. And yeah, just organize and work our way all the way around. This is an example. It can be very problematic if the plants get overflowed and it's sitting on a wood surface. And so, but we just want to make sure that our work areas like this is an example of a workspace that doesn't look the best. As much as possible, we want to keep everything, and especially because we're dealing with protected health information, we want to keep everything possible out of plain sight. And so that's why it's important. In some cases, I've had staff members that put stuff all over the counters and have drawers that are empty or very poorly utilized because it's just a bunch of junks put together that they want to look at later. Not the important stuff, but all of our important stuff should actually be in the files. It's important also, while I'm mentioning this, to be very familiar with all the forms and where they are. And so The drawers are labeled, so it should be very self-explanatory. But again, we want to just wipe down all of the monitors and, of course, empty all the trash. And what's very important is that we, condense trash bags and to be conscientious and not wasteful. And we also want to make sure, though, that there is always a trash bag replaced. So never take a trash bag out without replacing it, because then sometimes somebody will throw a piece of gum or something really nasty. So then instead of dealing with trash bags, we're dealing with scrubbing trash cans, which ends up being a lot more problematic. Another thing to mention is that when you are vacuuming, it's important to empty the filter of the vacuum. If the filter gets clogged and people just keep vacuuming and vacuuming and vacuuming, eventually it ends up breaking the vacuum and the vacuum doesn't work anymore, which is a big problem. So basically, as we go through, the key things are making sure that everything is cleaned and being thorough, pulling everything out and away from the counter, making sure everything's organized and making sure everything is stacked in this whole front office area, and that it looks as neat and tidy as possible. And then we do basically the same thing in the reception area. So that includes dusting picture frames as needed. That includes wiping down the door. In fact, the doors should be cleaned every single day, the inside and outside of both doors, because they just end up getting dirty. But in this area, we're just going to want to make sure that everything is neat, organized, stacked. We want to make sure that we have plenty of cups. Over here, we want to give the seats a wipe down. Oh, look at that seat. Looks, kind of nasty. So we don't want our patients to feel like it's gross to sit in our office. That would be a huge embarrassment and not good for business, certainly. And over here, we want to make sure that we have sugar as well as xylitol stocked, organic coffee. Over on the weekends, we should be, on Thursday, we don't need to fill this all the way because we should be emptying it and cleaning it. So, at the end of every week, so that the water doesn't grow any mildew or mold or fungus. And so it's important that we are cleaning that and letting it dry out over the weekend and then refilling it on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night. And again, making sure that it's adequate on Thursday but not overfilled. We also want to make sure that we didn't, like that. We don't want to leave an old nasty coffee in here, so that's kind of gross. On our long weekends, we want to make sure that there are cups as well as stir sticks. And we do have a cream cooler dispenser that should be out here as well. And so we want to make sure that the plants are maintained. Usually one designated staff member will water them, so it's not something that everybody needs to worry about, but we want to make sure that nothing's overflowed or that there's no standing water. Again, important to wipe down the blinds and the windowsills and organize the kids' toys, and of course do a real good vacuuming. And then this area here should be Swiffered. The floor should be cleaned and the carpet vacuumed. And I think that about sums up the cleaning of the front office and the lobby area.